So thank you very much, Justin, for this interview for Globe MMA. So just to present you in few words, you are Justin Flores. You are a big judo fighter in the United States and at the international scene because you won two times the USA National Championship, right?
For 3 times, I
Three
think.
times.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, and also you were part of the national team. You did Olympics.
I think he froze.
Ah, sorry. Is it good? Is it good again? No? Is it good?
And yeah, it froze there for a second.
Okay, okay, sorry. So yeah, I was telling that you were part of the national team,
Yeah.
and you compete at the Olympics, right?
I was a two-time Olympic alternate in 2004 and 2008. So I competed a lot internationally, and I beat world and Olympic place winners and a few medalists, and had good days and bad days. So I was up there in the top tier of the world judo circuit in my weight class for about 6 years.
Do you still compete?
No, I only coach. I stopped competing in 2008 after the Olympic trials. Stepped away a little bit from the sport and got my life, not that it wasn't together, but I made more of my life, and then now kind of came back 2 or 3 years ago, involved in coaching and judo, wrestling, and mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I saw that you did also wrestling, but
Yes.
at the same level as in judo.
More on a national level, but at the national level in folk style, which is not an Olympic sport, it's more collegiate and high school wrestling. I was the #3 ranked wrestler. I was an All-American in my group for my weight class. So I finished well in high school, and I wrestled in the Division I level, which is very high, the highest level for that, and at the University of Nebraska. So I got a wrestling scholarship, and I decided to put judo on the side for a few years before I came back to judo after college.
So you are a family of judokas because your brother Jacob also is a good judoka, right?
Yes, very good. He and I grew up doing judo since we were really little, and he was the #1 in the U.S. for the same weight class as me, so I decided to wrestle, and he continued doing judo, and then I came back to judo. So yeah, we were both beating each other up all the time in the living room.
So you said that now you are coaching in judo wrestling, but today you're coaching one of the greatest athletes in the world, and this athlete is Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, she's done a lot with herself, with so many tools she has now. Judo is just one element, but yeah, I'm fortunate enough to know Ronda over the course of almost 15, 16 years, and then we grew up on the same national team together, and she was one of our family members. Me and my brother and my sister were always, my brother and Ronda were training all the time together, and my father is her godfather.
Yeah.
So she would come down with Anne Marie, and we would train at my judo club locally, and then in Los Angeles, and then nationally.
All right, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I would like to know, do you coach other MMA fighters than Ronda?
Yeah, I coach at a gym. It's mostly geared for grappling at Studio 540, which is in San Diego at Solana Beach, and there's jiu-jitsu. I teach judo there, and there's wrestling as well, and that has all levels of mixed martial arts fighters, jiu-jitsu competitors, and judoka. And there's, all the time there's big MMA superstars there, and I corner and coach a few of them, like Jessica Penne, who fought for the UFC title at 115 pounds in Germany maybe 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I work mainly with those two, and then I teach judo for USA Judo as well. I coach for the US national team.
All right, I saw that at Studio 540. There were a seminar with Marcelo Garcia.
Yeah, it was amazing. He was here last week for a seminar, and then he dropped in around noon just for a normal class as well. So it was fun.
Yeah, imagine. So you know Ronda for a long time. you train in judo together and everything. But at what moment did you start, working with her for her MMA career?
So I lived on the East Coast in Philadelphia after the 2008 Olympics for 5 years. And after 5 years, we saved up and we moved to California. And I spoke with Ronda before I moved. And she was interested in me going up and working with her and helping her train and coach her in the judo aspect of her grappling, just to keep it sharp. So I started going up there maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago now, 2 years ago. And ever since then, I've been kind of a fixture at GFC. I go up there, especially right before her fights. I go up there multiple times of the week. So I'm up there driving a lot from San Diego to Los Angeles, which is, it's not so bad if the timing isn't, rush hour traffic. Other than that, it's usually pretty rough. But
I have a good anecdote to tell you about that. It was back in 2012. I was in Los Angeles, and a friend of mine, James Lowe, the photographer, the UFC photographer, he said, "Oh, look, JB, I have 2 tickets for you and your wife. This is tickets to see the fight for Ronda against Sarah Kaufman in San Diego for the Strike Force." I was so happy, because for me it was my first Strike Force, and I had this opportunity to see Ronda fighting, and we were so happy to go there. So what we do, we take our car and we drove through San Diego, and this traffic jam, my God, I was, like crazy in my car. And you know what the story is, that there were 2. She was fighting in a casino. I don't remember the name of this casino in San Diego.
Lakeview Casino.
Yes, but maybe you should know that there are 2 casinos which have the same name. So what happened is that I went to the wrong casino, and then I went back to this traffic jam, and I missed all the card, and I arrived at the end of the fight when Ronda was, celebrating her victory, and I was so pissed off. So.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry for that. That must have been, well, this is before GPS, or did you have a GPS?
I have a GPS, but I didn't know that there were 2,
Oh, no. I feel sorry for you. I was at that fight as well. It was, she did her thing. It was a great win, but, I'm sorry you had to miss out on that.
But yeah, I know the way between Los Angeles and San Diego now.
Yeah, the 5 freeway or the 805, yeah. I'm sorry.
So you're working with her a lot. So what is your typical training with Ronda? How many days a week do you train with her when she's in a fighting camp? And what kind of specific exercises do you do?
So it varies based on how close to the fight. Like a little further from the fight, we do uchikomi, which is fit-in, nagi komi, all with no gi, and we do stationary, maybe 50 uchikomi, and then we do moving uchikomi and moving nagi komi, and within that, we also pummel to get position, so we can kind of feel each other out and understand what level we're going to be working that day, and that'll gradually work into a little bit more sparring live, and it depends on the weeks out of the fight, but sometimes it'll be 5 minutes, sometimes it'll be very short, and we usually do that outside of the cage unless it's within the 2 weeks of the fight, maybe 3 weeks of the fight. So mostly it's tachiwaza into newaza transitions for arm bars and chokes, and a lot of times she jabs and gets range while I stay on the outside and before I commit to get close, or vice versa, whether she comes in. And my striking is not very good, but it's enough to show distance and to let her know how to get around any jabs or anything like that.
Do you do more judo? No. What about wrestling? I saw that, yeah, indeed, you're working a lot of uchikomis, nagikomis, and everything. But do you do like typical exercises of wrestling?
Not really. I'll get into a double leg, single leg, and let her work out and try and mask what or try and let her see different various views of a single leg and a double leg where she'll be able to defend it and take that into her judo, which is usually osotogari, haraigoshi, uchimata, sumigaishi. So all those techniques she uses are off of my commitment in wrestling. Because when I wrestled as well, that's kind of an easy way to score, is letting them do a lot of the work and you counter with judo.
Okay, I see. So, as you said, the best judo moves in MMA are, osotogari, ochigari, haraigoshi, right?
Uchimata, haraigoshi, sumigaishi, and variations of those. It's not just your standard textbook entry or very linear thinking. It's off of other moves and having chain judo, where 3 moves go together to the finished product of usually an armbar or a choke. So usually the drills go very seamlessly and fluid together, where there's multiple moves put in together offensively and defensively, where it's not just like, okay, today we're going to do 10 uchimata, 10 haraigoshi, 10, like, it's not like that at all. It's more a fluid flow of using each other's energy, and she's really good at that.
You said that you don't train you said that you train in nogi, but sometimes do you put the gi to train with her?
No. Not with her, no. She did 10 years at Olympic level judo in a gi, so I think now, I mean, she understands better than anyone in the UFC those principles and concepts that make her judo work. She doesn't go far away from those. If she did, we probably would work more in a gi, but she doesn't need to. She understands when someone's off balance and how to create that. And without a gi, that's very difficult. Because that's where a lot of top-level judoka that fight in MMA that don't have a wrestling understanding, they struggle because they need the handles. And Ronda took time and wrestled with Martin Barbarian, one of the best wrestlers in the world and best wrestling coaches in the world. And she went to SK Golden Boys in Los Angeles and got a good feel of how to use the body position rather than gi position, which are 2 different things.
Okay, so what about the Ronda, the sparring in grappling and judo? So you do it with her because you are almost in the same weight category?
Yeah, I walk around about 71 kilogram, maybe a little more or a little less depending, and she's a little lighter than that, so I try not to use too much strength or my weight, especially the closer to the fight she gets. I try and keep things very light, moving from position to position rather than holding one position.
Okay, and does she train also with other athletes or other people?
She trains with Martin Barbarian a lot with their upper body and wrestling and position, just as much or more than with me. So, and then she trains with the Gracies, Huron and Henry Gracie, down in Torrance. So she does that a few times a week as well. And then in her striking, she gets to a lot of positions where she knows she could use her takedowns, her judo, and her wrestling, being able to get close enough. And she identifies those positions in her striking practices, but doesn't get the takedown. Just, okay, I'm here, this is where I would work for a takedown, now let's get back out. So she's always using all of these together very well.
Did she already scored with you, in a training, like a huge ippon or something like this, Because people, I don't know if people, we can't imagine how her strength is, Ronda. Is she capable of throwing you like a piece of, you see?
Yeah, she's capable of throwing anyone. Like, her judo is the top in MMA. So when I train with her, there's an objective, there's a goal. I'm not trying to put her through the ground.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that the strength and the position I'm using is correct, and it's not going to put her body in jeopardy. So, there's been times in the past where we were both competing where I went as hard as I can with Ronda, and to make myself, it's my training, I have to do what I got to do to medal at the next tournament. So nowadays, it's very specific, and we identify what we're going to do, and we do it, and there's no chance of me that I'm ever going to hurt her because I do something recklessly, and it's about me trying to beat her. So I'm trying to give her different looks and positions where she can work and keep moving and keep getting better. So to answer your question, she would be able to throw me or anyone in these positions where I'm putting us so she can keep getting better. Okay. So I'm not in there to win, per se.
Okay, I see. Um, so Edmund is also working with you for the striking. Do you elaborate the strategies with him? You know, you sit down before the fight and you're talking. Okay, what I think it's good for the fight is to do this and that. How do you proceed together? You know, all the team together for strategies.
Yeah, Edmund and I have a really great rapport, and about strategizing and about fighting in general. There's always open lines of communication, and we are fans of the game. So we talk about different strategies and outlooks and grappling and striking and how to use the two together. And you know, every time we talk, we're talking about new ways, and he's taught me a lot about the striking game and how to adapt that with grappling and vice versa, where, you know, using judo and being able to clinch and get to positions off of the striking. So it's a great teamwork with us coaches.
Nice. What would be for you the best quality as a person and as an athlete for Ronda?
What would be her best quality?
Yeah, as a person and also as an athlete. So two qualities.
She has a great heart.
Okay.
Like, no matter what she says out there, and she gets misinterpreted a lot, and people take sound bites and make headlines out of them, she always means well. She has so many people around her all the time, and the way she deals with it, I've seen her sign autographs and do things for people that she doesn't have to do ever.
Yeah.
And she does it so with such a kind heart. I don't know if I could do that if I was put in that position. I mean, I don't think I would ever have to be put in that position, but she is able to do it with a smile, even when she's cutting weight and she has so many stresses going on. She handles it really well, and I admire her for that. And you know, I'm a big fan of her as well. So it's good to see her treating people really well, even though, you know, she's a superstar.
Yeah, of course. And as an athlete, what would be her best quality?
The qualities in her, there's so many. She can adapt really well. So if she's fighting someone, she does impose her game. But when someone does something to try and counter her game plan and to get in and bum rush, either by striking or grappling, whatever they do, she's able to adapt and improvise and be able to put an opponent on their back or to outstrike them, even if they're a striker, and to be able to submit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts and do all these things in the midst of chaos. She can find her target and win. So, you know, you can game plan all day, and she has game planned her whole life in strategies and outcomes and series of movements, how to be able to be victorious in those scenarios, and she does it very well and very quick.
All right. What is already your best memory with her? I don't know, a few years ago when you were like kids or today. I don't know. What would be your best memories?
My best memory, it's hard to put it like that. There's so many, for so many years. I mean, I would say before her mixed martial arts career started, we were training and traveling all over the place. We did a camp in Spain together in Costa del Feliz. It's right on the coast north of Barcelona. Every year there's a camp there for all the best judoka in the world for 10 days. And there's 2 practices a day. And every night we would go out and meet as a team and have fun and eat and go out and all day we would train. So we went out one night, and this is a funny little story. She was very annoyed at me for some reason. I don't know. She was younger.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is the best memory, but it's a funny one.
Yeah, it's okay.
Her then boyfriend, I guess, told me that Ronda was mad at me. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Ronda. I will let you punch me one time, just so you're not mad at me anymore. And she said, okay. So she hit me with a left hook in my face. I have the claim to fame that I'm the first one to be punched by Ronda at left hand as hard as she can. So this was maybe 2004 or 2005. It was a long time ago.
And you were knocked out?
Yeah, no, not quite. I saw stars, definitely.
And then after how did she felt? You know, like, okay, what a relief to hit you in the face.
She smiled, and I played it off that it didn't hurt very much, but later, you know, I had some ice on my jaw.
Nice story.
older crazy brother to her, like, when she was in her teenage years and I showed her, hey, this is how adults and young adults act, and she got, socialized to that element.
How many years do you have between you two?
6 years.
6 years, okay, yeah.
It's quite a gap. I was in my early 20s, mid-20s when she was a teenager, an older teenager.
Okay, so of course, right now you are preparing her for her next fight against Holly Holm, which will occur at the UFC 193 in Melbourne, November the 15th. So
yes.
another tough fight against Holly Holm, who is still undefeated. Do you think the strategy for this fight would be not to use judo, but to use wrestling, maybe to to go like in the legs, try to take the single leg, double leg, or something like this?
I don't think we'll see that, but I would think my outcome scenario that I think will happen is Holly Holm will try and keep distance and keep Ronda from cornering her into, winning the angles battle and getting her into the cage, her back to the cage. And I think Ronda's going to be able to outstrike her and be able to get to a clinching scenario where she uses her takedowns, either, her foot sweeps or her hip throws, and be able to take her down and then finish her on the ground would be what I would generalize and think would happen. But anything can happen. And I think Holly's going to do anything she can to get better at her judo defense. She's probably doing that. So I don't think it'll help much, but I think they're going to be ready for her to use her judo and try and keep as much distance as they can. But I still don't think that's going to be possible. Ronda's going to be able to angle off and get close enough to the body to where she could tie up. And I think on her way in, she's going to be able to beat her in the striking battle. Because she's more of a brawler. Ronda is tougher and stronger, and, when she has her goal and her objective in mind, she gets it done. And I see her doing that.
Yeah, we saw for the last fight against Beth Correa, yeah, her goal was not to armbar her, it was to knock her out, so...
Yeah, she had the opportunity to win on the ground. She took her down with the Kosotogari, and I think Betchka said she slipped, but and she could have taken her down, and she let her stand back up, and that's where she was able to be victorious on her feet.
What do you feel before a fight and during a fight? Do you feel like excitement, or I don't know?
Excitement, yes. I think a little bit of anxiety, but not to where it makes me diminished as a coach or anything Ronda needs me for.
Okay.
So when we warm up, it's very quick. It's a hard, quick warm up, and she's ready to go. And I think all the work is done at that point, and she's ready to win at all costs.
How many fights do you think Ronda will do before ending her MMA career?
I mean, she could go as long as she wants, but I don't think she's going to be fighting more than 2 more years.
And what about her knees?
Her knees? She's had knee surgeries in the past, but nothing that's debilitating in a way that she has to stop fighting because of her knee problems. I understand that as much as anyone. I've had a dozen knee surgeries, so I get it. But I don't think she's at the point where she needs to halt her fight career because of that. I think she doesn't train recklessly anymore because of her knees sometimes, but it's not debilitating. She's not having to cut practices short or take days off because of that. She might have to take days off and cut things short because she overtrains when she's time to train. She trains so hard and vicious that sometimes you don't want to be overtrained at a certain level in your camp, whether it's too late in the camp or too early.
Do you want to see the fight between Ronda and Chris Cyborg if she makes the weight? This is the fight that you want to see?
Yes, of course. I'm excited for it. I think people are going to be really surprised at how little Cyborg is going to be able to do to Ronda. I mean, Ronda is just so much better in all facets, technically. I mean, Cyborg has that huge power, but I don't think with her making 135 and having a level playing field to do so at 135, I think it's gonna open up some gaping holes in Cyborg's game. So I think Ronda's gonna be victorious, just like she has been in all of her other fights.
So the IDCC occurred this year in Brazil. So is it something that Ronda will probably do after her MMA career? Do you think to compete in IDCC? You know?
I think she could. I mean, I don't put anything past her doing more competition outside of the UFC when she officially retires. But if I had to predict, I would probably say no. Because she's challenged herself in so many aspects athletically in her life. I think once she's done competing in something physically brutal, that she has to live, she has to train, and has to learn, and has to do all those things. I think her next challenge will be in acting rather than in another form of fighting. So it could happen. I mean, I think she would do great. I think she would be able to beat a lot of these girls, and maybe all of them. I'm not as schooled to how much Mackenzie Dern can do from her back to Ronda, or how these other athletes fare starting from their feet, or in a takedown, or in a transition. I know that a lot of them are very good on the mat, and I think Ronda is just as good or better.
So it was very interesting to have this talk with you, Justin. Thank you so much for your time. Such a pleasure. We learned so many things about your work and all you do with Ronda and all the team, you know. So thank you so much. All the fans in France from MMA and Judo will really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. It was an honor, and good luck, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, for sure, and probably maybe next time in California.
That would be nice. Hopefully, next time you're in California, you figure out the roads better, and we can.
Oh yeah.
Get
Thanks.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.